two bobbers, two philosophies. The Scout Bobber is light, liquid-cooled, and built for flickable fun, while the Chief Bobber Dark Horse leans into torque-heavy, air-cooled muscle. Here's how Indian's blacked-out bobbers compare across 9 key points, and which one deserves a spot in your garage. Both bikes wear the bobber uniform of chopped fenders, solo saddles, and blacked-out finishes, but they interpret it differently. The Scout Bobber is lean and minimalist, with a compact headlight nacelle, a contoured rear fender that flows into the gas tank, and cast 8-spoke wheels that give it a modern, stealthy profile. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse goes bigger and more traditional, with a substantial headlight bucket in a nacelle, wire spoke wheels, fork covers, and shock covers that echo old-school American iron, and a steel welded tube frame. Overall length also separates them. The Scout measures 86.9 inches nose to tail, while the Chief stretches to a full 90 inches. If you want understated and contemporary, the Scout wins. If you want a commanding, old-world silhouette with more finish options, the Chief takes it.
The Scout Bobber runs Indian's liquid-cooled Speed Plus 1250cc V-twin, a 60-degree engine with a 12.5-to-1 compression ratio, producing 105 horsepower and 82 foot-pounds of torque at 6,300 RPM. It's a revvy, modern unit with a 60mm throttle body and closed-loop fuel injection that rewards riders who like winding out the throttle through a 6-speed gearbox. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse, by contrast, houses the air-cooled Thunderstroke 116, 1890cc, a big-inch V-twin with an 11.0-to-1 compression ratio that trades top-end excitement for a wall of torque, 120 foot-pounds arriving at just 2,900 RPM, nearly double the peak torque horsepower of the Scout in raw foot-pounds terms, if not in horsepower. That's classic American cruiser character. Less about revs, more about grunt off the line. Rear cylinder deactivation on the Chief also helps manage heat from that big air-cooled engine at idle, a feature the liquid-cooled Scout doesn't need. Riders chasing sporty, winded-out engagement will prefer the Scout. Those wanting effortless, low RPM roll-on power will gravitate straight to the Chief.
The Scout Bobber tips the scales at a lithe 522 pounds dry, 542 pounds wet, with a 61.5-inch wheelbase, making it noticeably easier to muscle around parking lots, U-turns, or tight city streets. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse is a considerably heavier machine at 670 pounds dry, 694 pounds wet, and a longer 64-inch wheelbase, nearly 150 pounds more than the Scout. That extra mass brings stability at speed and a planted, substantial feel on the highway, but it also means slower, more deliberate handling at low speeds, and more effort required at a stoplight or when backing out of a driveway compared to the Scout's featherweight nimbleness. Both bikes carry similar GVWR figures relative to their weight class, 988 pounds for the Scout and 1,160 pounds for the Chief. So passenger and gear capacity scale roughly with each bike's size. The Scout Bobber uses mid-mounted controls with a low, slammed 2-inch suspension setup, putting the rider in a tucked-in, aggressive but comfortable stance that feels closer to a standard street bike than a full-on cruiser. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse takes a more laid-back approach, with forward-mounted foot controls and mini-ape handlebars, stretching the rider out into a relaxed, arms-up cruiser posture, reminiscent of classic American bobbers. Seat heights are close, 26.2 inches unladen on the Scout versus 26.0 inches on the Chief, so reach to the ground is comparable for most riders, but the actual riding triangle feels very different in practice. Sportier and more compact on the Scout, more laid-back and boulevard cruiser on the Chief.
The base Scout Bobber keeps things simple, with ABS as the sole standard rider aid. Cruise control, traction control, ride modes, and the Ride Command display are reserved for the pricier Limited Plus Tech trim, where they become optional accessory upgrades.
The Chief Bobber Dark Horse comes considerably better equipped out of the box. ABS, 3 ride modes, keyless ignition, USB and 12-volt charge ports, rear cylinder deactivation, and a factory-installed 4-inch ride command display with GPS navigation, Bluetooth connectivity, and ride stats are all standard equipment. Both bikes support Ride Command Plus connected services via Bluetooth tethering for account sync and connected search, but only the Chief has that infrastructure built in from the factory. For riders who want tech without stepping up a trim level, the Chief has a clear and immediate edge. Braking hardware favors the Chief Bobber Dark Horse, which pairs a 300mm front rotor with a 4-piston caliper and a 300mm rear rotor with a 2-piston caliper, against the Scout Bobber's smaller 298mm front rotor, 2-piston, and 298mm rear rotor, 1-piston. A meaningful difference given the Chief's extra mass to slow down. Suspension travel also favors the Chief, offering 5.2 inches up front through a 46mm fork and 3.0 inches at the rear via dual shocks with adjustable preload, versus the Scout's 41mm fork with 4.7 inches of travel and just 2.0 inches at the rear. The Scout's shorter, slammed 2-inch suspension suits its low-slung bobber stance, but sacrifices some ride compliance on rough roads. The Chief rides noticeably plusher over broken pavement and expansion joints. The Scout Bobber carries a 3.4-gallon tank, while the Chief Bobber Dark Horse holds a larger 4.0-gallon tank. Combined with the Chief's torquier, lower revving engine that doesn't need to be worked as hard to maintain highway speed, that extra half-gallon plus should translate into longer stretches between fuel stops on longer multi-day trips, even though the bigger displacement engine will likely draw more fuel per mile at idle and around town. The Scout's smaller tank keeps the bike's overall silhouette tight and lightweight, but means more frequent stops on longer multi-day trips. Both bikes roll on 16-inch wheels at both ends, but construction, rubber, and ground clearance all differ. The Scout Bobber uses cast 8-spoke wheels with Pirelli MT60 RS tires, 130/90B16 front, 150/80B16 rear, and offers 4.3 inches of ground clearance, tuned for grippier, sportier handling. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse uses wire spoke wheels wrapped in Metzler Cruise Tech tires, 130/60B16 front, 180/65B16 rear, for a noticeably wider rear contact patch, a classic cruiser look, and 4.9 inches of ground clearance. Lean angle slightly favors the Scout at 31 degrees versus the Chief's 28.5 degrees, meaning the Scout can be pushed a bit harder into corners before hard parts touch down. The Scout Bobber starts at $12,999, making it one of the more accessible ways into Indian's bobber lineup, especially for riders new to cruisers, shorter riders, or anyone looking for a lighter secondary bike. The Chief Bobber Dark Horse commands a considerably higher $19,999, reflecting its larger engine, standard tech package, and more premium running gear straight from the factory floor. That roughly $7,000 gap is significant on paper, but it also buys a genuinely different class of motorcycle rather than just a trim bump. More displacement, more standard equipment, better brakes, more suspension travel, and noticeably more road presence for the money. The Scout Bobber and Chief Bobber Dark Horse aren't really rivals for the same rider. They're answers to different questions. Choose the Scout Bobber if you want a lighter, more affordable, rev-happy bobber that's easy to toss around town, easy to learn on, and still look sharp doing it. Choose the Chief Bobber Dark Horse if budget is less of a concern and you want big inch torque, standard fit technology, stronger brakes, and a heavier, more commanding cruiser presence for long, relaxed highway rides. Neither is objectively better. The right pick comes down to whether you value agility, low weight and price, or displacement, standard equipment, and outright road presence more. Test ride both if you can. The difference in character is felt within the first block.